Miranda, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to jump in and share your story, jumping into the fractional CMO world. But before we dive in, can you share a little bit about your background in marketing, what kind of marketing work you did before we met, and also just a little bit of context around you, your life, and kind of who you are?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I have a hodgepodge of experience in my background. I started out doing marketing for Chick-fil-A and spent about 6 years with the company and worked for advertising at the Richards Group, which was their advertising agency. And I did that and then had this really unique opportunity to open a local restaurant. And so I left the advertising industry and helped launch a coffee shop, restaurant, brew pub combo back in 2012 and gained a lot of experience on just bringing a vision to life and helping launch a brick and mortar concept. I worked with that and then became a mom, which didn't allow for a whole lot of 80-hour work weeks and standing on my feet in the restaurant industry, as you can imagine. So I took a leave of that and then just became a stay-at-home mom for a few years. And we ran an Airbnb. That was kind of my side hustle and spent time with my little ones. And then when my daughter was old enough to go back to school, I jumped back in and started with a nonprofit that I was passionate about supporting and helped lead that as the associate executive director for 3 years. So we watched that nonprofit double in their contributions over the time that I was there and expand their services and their reach. And after 3 years of doing that, I realized I wanted to continue supporting that ministry and that nonprofit by stepping onto the board, but that I really wanted to build my own business and see how I could take my collective experience and support other local businesses and CEOs in scaling what they were aiming to do. And so I stepped out from that in January of last year, 2025, took a little bit of time leading up to that to go through Fractional CMO School. And I had been asked by several people to just come alongside them with some support, but I didn't know what I wanted to do or how I wanted to do it. And I just felt like I was frameless. I just didn't have a framework. And so I stumbled across you and your content and your offer for the Fractional CMO School, which I was really curious about and kind of did some internet stalking to see what you were about and where you had been and thought, this could just really help me have a strong foundation to build off of. And I kept my corporate job while I went through that program. I signed kind of a side project and I was able to leave my job in October after going through the program and building a package of services. And I took 3 months to just breathe after having worked for a long time and really being intentional and thoughtful about building my business. And then I launched it fully in January 2025. So I'm at my year anniversary.
I love it. So you were able to leave your full-time corporate job and start your own thing out of what you had learned inside of Fractional CMO School. It's amazing.
Yes. Yeah, it was a huge blessing. I remember telling you in October of 2024, hey, this was my last day at my job. I'm doing it. I'm jumping off the cliff and I'm going to just sink or swim. And you have encouraged me and you sent me flowers and a really kind note. And that has just meant a lot because it's really challenging to just take the courageous leap to go out on your own, and having people that are willing to share with you and give you insight and also be an encourager to be bold really meant a lot.
That's so great to hear. And I know it can feel so scary for people, and there's so many considerations that go into making that decision. So it just makes me so happy to hear that you felt supported. And I'd love to hear what made you feel like you could take that leap. Was it something you learned, something you got from myself, the community? I'm so curious to hear what really made you decide the timing was right and you felt ready.
I went through the program and watched the courses and started building out kind of my own back end. And it felt like I had a framework to walk a client through. So oftentimes at the beginning, when I was just sort of on my side hustle path, it was like, hey, can you do this? And hey, can you do that? Or hey, can you do this? And instead of me going to them and saying, hey, actually, this is what you need. Let
Mm,
me tell you how I think I can help you. I was just sort of reacting. And so going through the Fractional CMO School gave me a stop and think about how you can best drive outcomes in their business. And so it gave me this sort of perspective to build a structure around how I could approach them for offers instead of just being super reactive. And so after I had a little bit of confidence in that, I had one person that was willing to work with me and said, okay, I think I can do this. I can build off of this one person. I don't exactly know how everything's going to go, but that's part of learning the process along the way. And it just gave me the confidence I needed to get started.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like you brought up a really good point. I think a lot of times when people start their own business as a marketer, you can end up just taking what's coming your way and you end up, oh, yeah, I can do your social media. I could do email. I could help you with that branding project. And you end up being pulled in so many different directions. And that is actually how I started my company. It was really like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want to do. But I found that when I was in that space, it was such an easy, quick path to burnout again because
Mhm.
I was doing a million things. The word reacting is a really great one for this. I was
Mhm.
just taking what was coming my way and reacting to clients instead of me coming in and saying, this is how I work. Here's my packages. Here's my scope. And here's what you need. I don't know if you felt this too, but a big shift for me from being like an order taker, someone who's just like, what do you need? I can help you with your marketing, to no, I'm a marketing leader and I'll tell you what you need and I'll come in and we'll make sure that you're doing the right things. And that was such a big shift.
Yes. And I observed in my early journey of trying to navigate finding clients and qualifying calls and making sales is that so much of what I was witnessing CEOs and entrepreneurs do in their business was their own reactivity and different spaghetti at the wall approaches to marketing and sales and growing their business. What they didn't need was another person that would just react to their reactivity. They need someone that's going to be steady and stable and implement strategies, test them, and optimize and then scale those with them and be that steady, stable, constant collaborator alongside them. And that's really what I wanted to do instead of being like, oh, sure, I can help you with that. Oh, sure. Yes, I'll help you with
Yeah.
that too. So it just helped me kind of say, I don't have to do that.
Yeah. And what did that mean for you from a working perspective? Like how work felt or how you operated once you made
Yeah,
that shift?
it made me realize that I can help lead in this area. I don't have to second guess everything. And I can actually just say, here's what I recommend. Here's what I think you should do. Here's what you've been doing and why I think that's probably not working for you. And here's a way we can scale back in this particular area and scale up in this particular area instead of feeling just unsure of myself. And even as a new entrepreneur, I mean, there's always a challenge in mindset and imposter syndrome and just trying to feel credible in my work. And I think getting the repetitions and the muscle mechanics of focus and iterate and optimize is just a part of the work that we're all doing. And I can come alongside other leaders and help them with that.
I love hearing that. Did you find that your processes, like, did it impact like actually how you worked, your processes, your day to day? Because I imagine, like, for me, there certainly was a shift going from reacting, doing everything to this one way of working now.
Yeah, I think it helped me think through what other type of packages I want to offer. I didn't even know what a fractional CMO was until I saw your program. I understood what a CMO was, but I hadn't been exposed to that concept until I interacted with your school. And I thought, yeah, this is a great way to position myself as a leader without being another W 2 employee inside someone's business. And so it helped me think through some high level systems for coming to the table and saying, this is what I can do for you. And this is what I won't do. And this is why it's a benefit to your business rather than hiring a CMO.
Yeah, I love that. I'm curious, like, what got you interested in me, my program, as opposed to others? There's lots of other different programs out there for scaling as a marketer or even particularly learning the fractional CMO model.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes a bit daunting, the curriculum diversity, the buffet of curriculum out
Yes.
there. When I watched some of the informational videos that you had posted, it was just a clear process for how I'm going to learn what this means, how I'm going to learn to build something from scratch. And I'll have some tools to get started. I think as I've grown, I've kind of iterated on my own concepts, but it gave me the foundation. And then being able to go research who you are and see, okay, well, she's credible. She's been doing these things. I listened to some of your podcasts and it was like, okay, let me get in there and see what this is about. And I think you saved me months and months of being able to figure this out without having to stumble around in the dark until I figured out what the right path was.
Yeah. Oh, I love to hear that. On that note, can you share for me what has changed for you since you completed Fractional CMO School? I mean, besides quitting your full time job, which is amazing, but can you share any tangible wins around clients you've landed or revenue growth or what you're working hours wise now compared to before, anything like that?
Yeah, I was a full-time employee prior to leaving my corporate role with a nonprofit. And if anyone's done nonprofit work before, 40 hours sometimes means more than 40 hours. And so I was spending a lot of time pouring into the work that I was doing there. And it was rewarding in many ways, but it did just create tension and imbalance in the family life that I wanted to have. And so being able to build my own schedule, so I set my own hours, I work 30 hours a week max, I take vacation when I want to. I hired a
Yeah.
VA this summer and to go on a trip with my family and not be worried about my clients being able to be supported for a few days was incredibly exciting. I knew that that was a possibility, but it was the first time I had really felt I can build something that isn't wholly dependent on me. And there's still certainly a big role in which I'm playing going into year 2 in delivery, but I have a vision now for more capacity for myself and for my family. And then financially, it's almost double what I was making prior in my corporate role, and I'm doing 30 hours. So I think that's a huge win across the board. My
That's a
profit
huge win.
margins are great. I have about 63% profit margins that's with an assistant. And so I just see a lot of opportunity to continue to build on what I'm doing. And it's just really encouraging.
That's amazing. So I think we need to focus on that for a minute because you were able to almost double what you were making. You're working less, like you're around 30 hours max per week, and you were like probably 40, 50, maybe sometimes more before. I know
Yes,
how full
definitely.
time jobs can work.
Yes.
And you've been able to hire an assistant inside of your business. So you're not having to actually deliver and go away on vacation and still get paid and still have things move forward in your business, which is incredible.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. When my husband and I just kind of looked at the numbers in early January, our yearly annual planning that we do together and looking at everything that I accomplished and we accomplished last year, it was a lot of work to put your head down and to be faithful to the mechanics of selling and delivering and having good customer service and networking. It's hard work, but it was so rewarding to look back and think I've helped businesses and CEO partners that I have the utmost respect for. I've come alongside them, I've learned their businesses, I've helped them grow, and we've seen some huge wins. We've also faced some hard challenges, and it's just a really rewarding place to be at. And I'm still a part of the nonprofit in a board member role. And so I get to
Yeah.
still use what I'm learning to benefit that as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it sounds like you've made a big shift too in how you see yourself. So I'd love to hear anything you want to share around what's shifted for you when it comes to your confidence or your leadership or how you show up.
Yeah, that's a great question because when I first stepped into the entrepreneurial world and I kept seeing mindset stuff everywhere, like, what is all this about? And then after I was kind of done with the fractional CMO curriculum and I felt the support and the boost that that had given me, but then I started to feel a little bit like a solopreneur. I'm just sort of out here on my own and trying to stabilize my habits and stabilize my focus and perception to not be driven by anxiety or fear. I realized very early on, okay, I actually need to stop and think about how I'm thinking about this and how it's impacting the way that I work. And so I did a lot of work on that in January, February, March of last year to really have a vision for what I wanted for the future and to recognize that the way that I was letting different fears and anxieties and thoughts drive the way I produced work and showed up in sales calls. And so I had to stop and reframe and recognize I don't know what other people are thinking. I don't always have to prove X, Y, or Z. And I can just offer people help because I can help them and when I can help them and let that speak for itself. And that was a big shift for me
That's
and still is
amazing.
something I feel like I'm working through.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot about the why I have Fractional CMO School, why I started it. And one of the main reasons behind it is just because I have always been, ever since my first corporate job when I was 20 something, I've always been that friend who's the cheerleader and helping my friends be like, no, no, you need to ask for more money, ask for a raise. Don't just accept that job offer. Or you can, just really helping them step into their worth and their confidence. And I think that that for me was one of my bigger driving factors for starting this because I see that so much across the board and particularly with women in marketing, self-doubt, feeling like maybe we're not worthy, we're not asking for what we deserve. I think it's something that I see across the board. And so my hope is that in stepping into fractional CMO school, someone can understand your value, your worth, asking for, the money that you deserve because of what you bring to the table and just being able to build that confidence around what you bring to the table for clients, your experience, who you are, and your unique footprint because every marketer is going to show up a little bit differently and going to be bringing a different skill set to the table. But yeah, I love that you spent some time focusing there because I think it's so important.
Yeah, and it was helpful to just come to the fractional CMO school table. And initially it was like, are you sure? Are you sure I belong here? Are you sure?
Do you know how many people ask that though? Like almost every single person who joins the program has a voice note or a call or some sort of interaction with me being like, am I qualified? Is this the right
Yes.
thing? And it kind of blows my mind because there's so many wildly talented, qualified women who are like,
Yes.
I don't know. And it's just, yes, you are. Get in here.
Yes. Get started. And it really helped me just get in there and to see the other students in the program. I really loved the guest speakers when you had guest speakers come to and getting to hear sort of their expertise they brought to the table. And I view myself as just a learner. I love to learn. I love to try new things. And it gave me that space to sort of test that and go, okay, everyone's kind of learning in this arena. I can keep learning and keep adding value and growing in my own expertise, just like everyone else here is. And then to think, wait, how do I charge for this? And how do I build an expertise and package that? And that was just foreign to me from having been on the W-2 side and not seeing it as as a business building fractional side. And so that really, okay, this actually has real legs to being something I could do as a full-time thing, not just I help people on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you think going through the program changed your mindset or changed your approach to your packaging, your pricing, your positioning? I'm curious, what do you think you would have done differently had you not done it versus what you're doing now?
I do think early on, I just was reacting a ton. I was like, okay, sure. Yeah, I can help you that. I want to be a helper. I want to be a doer. And so just a lot of that. And so then going through the program and seeing the couple packages that you recommend and the fractional CMO piece, the fuller package, and then advisory, it kind of helped me frame a level of support and put direction around that. So when potential clients were coming to me to say, this is how I can support you.
Yeah, I love that. And what do you think about pricing? I'm curious to know when you saw pricing frameworks or benchmarks, meaning like how I recommend we price, the levels of pricing. What were your thoughts there compared to maybe how you would have approached it had you not had the support of the program?
I wasn't charging enough, and I still probably have room to grow and thinking through that. And as I build my own business, I have just general thoughts about how I want to grow and the way that those packages might increase as my experience increases. But early on, I was like, oh, I should definitely charge more than what I'm doing.
Absolutely, right? And that's what I see with most marketers, most people who join are just like severely undercharging for the experience that they have. So
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that. And you were able to increase what you were charging like more than double probably is the math
Yes.
because you're
Yes.
making almost double and working a lot less. So it makes me so
Yes.
happy to hear.
Yes. And being able to explain even to CEOs or entrepreneurs that this is reducing their risk by having a partner come alongside them and support them in their marketing functions with strategic direction and clarity and data clarity. And we're going to look at how you're doing and performing and how you can grow your business. And you're not having to internalize that and hire a whole team right out the gate. You're getting someone to come alongside you, and there's
Yeah.
value in that. And it's actually been a much easier sell when I position it that way than what I was anticipating.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because the more that I've done this, the more I've talked to different clients and my take on it now is that a lot of clients will be like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm ready for a fractional CMO. I don't know if I need that." And I argue that it is one of the first hires you should make when you have a marketing budget, even if it's just for someone to put a strategy together for you,
Hmm.
because what can happen and what does happen in the wild, wild west out there is that if you are not a marketer, which most business owners are not,
Mhm.
then you're looking around, you're watching some person on Instagram telling you what you need or some guru's YouTube and, you're making your own assumptions about what is going to move the needle in your business. And
Mhm.
I'm sure you see this 9 times out of 10, you come into a client's business and you're like, whoa, no, no, that is not, we should not be doing that. Or you don't need a rebrand for
Mhm.
$20,000. Or,
Mhm.
YouTube is not right for you because your target audience isn't over there. Or that's not how they
Mhm.
make purchasing decisions. Or, hey, this one thing over here, if you just do this, then suddenly results are flowing. And we're able to come in and see what they can't see. And I think what happens a lot of times is if they have it in their mind, they need someone to do their Instagram or someone to do their website, they're going out and spending their precious time and money on these things
Mhm.
in marketing that are probably not the right things. And then they can sometimes be this notion of, oh, marketing doesn't work or, I've been burned. And the way I see it is a CMO really can protect your investment, your time, your energy, and make sure that you're investing in the right things, you're in the right order. It's actually
Right.
going to be the right things for your business to move the needle. So, yeah, I think it's such an easy sell.
Yeah, and oftentimes the answer to the question, "Why are you doing that?" is they don't know, or, "Is it
Yeah.
working? I
Yeah.
don't know if it's working." And
Totally.
so you're spending money on it and you're spending time on it, and this is where your growth trend is, and you don't know if that's working and you don't know if you should keep doing it. Let's at least start by just getting clarity on what you're doing and
Yeah.
if it's helping you or not, and then we can
Yeah.
build off of that or scale that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the cool thing that I love about this role too is we are really agnostic in terms of what we do and sell and put into our strategies. So I
Mhm.
find as well with clients, they might talk to someone who does social, they might talk to someone who does ads. And it's like if someone is coming from one area of expertise in marketing, of course, they're going to tell you that's what you need in your business and that's going to drive
Right.
results for you. But we can come in with this sort of blank slate and say, okay, well, across the board,
Right.
if anything is an option, here's what I think you could do. And then
Mhm.
there's more of that assurance that what they're pulling in, where they're spending their money is the right thing because we've said, this is what we want to do instead of it being
Mhm.
backwards and being like, I
Right.
think Instagram is the thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
that comes up regularly in conversation. "Can you run my Instagram?" Or,
Yeah. Right.
"Why do you think you need to grow your Instagram account, and what are you hoping to get from that?" And just
Yeah.
getting them to dial in what they really need, and then taking a step back as more a generalist and saying, "Let's look at the big picture."
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Last couple questions here. If someone is considering joining Fractional CMO School, I would love to hear what would you tell them?
If you are eager to step out on your own and build a business around fractional CMO work and you're not sure where to start, Fractional CMO School will give you the steps on the startup path to build the framework for launching your business. It's going to give you direction, it's going to give you frameworks, it's going to answer questions, it's going to give you access to peers, but also to Jess and to other industry leaders who are going to share their expertise and help you have confidence to step out and do it. And it's worth
I
it.
love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're so
Anything else you want
welcome.
to share about your experience with Fractional CMO School?
Yeah, it was really helpful. It was just really helpful to have a support in the beginning and education and guidance. And there was a lot of transparency on your side with what you've done for clients. It felt like it wasn't a gatekeeping thing, but just here's a space where you can come see how I built my business and it could help you. And that just felt approachable and accessible and encouraging. And that meant a lot for a mom stepping out and taking a leap of faith and building a business.
I love that. That's great to hear. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, sharing your experience with Fractional CMO School. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad I got to be here.
So, if you're building a fractional CMO business and you don't want to waste years figuring it out the hard way, Fractional CMO School is open for enrollment and we'll give you the step by step roadmap that I used to build my business to 6 figures in 6 months and then $1 million per year with a small team of two. There's expert coaching, one on one support, and whether you are an aspiring fractional CMO or you're growing, you're trying to figure out how to scale your team or do the role in a way that doesn't lead to burnout, it is a great fit for you. And you can learn more at thecmooffice.com. If you love this episode today, here is what I would love from you. Take 30 seconds to rate and review the show. It helps more marketers and CMOs find this content. hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're going to implement any of this or you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out in my DMs on Instagram. I would love to support you. And thank you for listening. I will see you next week.